Irewa was a city of contrast, where wealth and poverty stood side by side but rarely touched. The heart of the city was ruled by men of power, and among them was Chief Bright, a billionaire businessman known for his sharp mind and iron will. His estate, a mansion larger than most hotels, was a fortress guarded by high walls, security cameras, and a black iron gate that separated his world from the outside. Behind that gate stood Likan, the gateman. Likan was young, no older than 24, but life had already taught him hard lessons. His father had died when he was a boy, leaving him to fend for his sick mother and younger siblings. With no university education, he had taken the job at Chief Bright's mansion, but he never let his circumstances define him. Unlike other staff who simply carried out their duties, Likan had dreams. He spent his nights reading, using a small, rechargeable lamp in the cramped gatehouse. Books on business, economics, and leadership filled the tiny wooden shelf he had carved for himself. He was determined that one day he would not just be a gateman, he would be his own boss. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Mareniki, Chief Bright's only daughter, stepped out of a sleek black car, returning from an event. She was 23, elegant and effortlessly beautiful, with the kind of presence that turned heads. Unlike most rich kids, she was not reckless or arrogant. She had been raised with discipline, trained to handle business affairs, and groomed to marry within her class. But something made her pause that night. As she approached the mansion, she noticed Likan seated on a wooden stool near the gate, a book in his hands. The flickering light of his lantern cast shadows across his face, as his eyes moved across the page, completely absorbed. Curious, she took a few steps closer. "What are you reading?" Likan, startled, shut the book immediately and stood up. "Good evening, Ma," he greeted with a slight bow, his voice steady but unsure of why she was speaking to him. Mareniki folded her arms. "I asked a question." Likan hesitated before answering. "It's a book on business strategy." Mareniki raised a brow. "Business? Why?" Likan swallowed. "I want to own a business one day." Mareniki studied him for a moment. Here was a young man who should have been complaining about his hardships, yet he spoke with determination, not self-pity. She was intrigued. The next day, she did something unexpected. She searched her father's vast library and picked a book on financial management. That night, she walked to the gate and casually handed it to Likan. "Since you like business," she said, "you should read this one too." Likan was too stunned to respond at first. Then he accepted the book, his voice almost a whisper. "Thank you, Ma." That was how it began. Every few days, she brought him more books. At first, their conversations were brief and cautious, but soon, she found herself looking forward to their discussions. Likan was different from the men she knew. His mind was sharp, his hunger for knowledge inspiring. He didn't seek her pity or act like he was beneath her. Instead, he spoke with quiet confidence. But their growing connection did not go unnoticed. It started with whispers among the staff. The cook mentioned it to the housekeeper told the driver, and soon, the entire household was talking about how the madam was spending time with the gateman. One evening, Mareniki's mother, Madame Folak, confronted her. "Mareniki, is it true what I'm hearing? You've been speaking to that gateman?" Mareniki sighed. "Mummy, it's not what you think." "And what do I think?" Her mother's voice was sharp. "That my only daughter, the pride of this family, is lowering herself to speak with a common worker." Mareniki clenched her fists. "He's not just a worker, he's intelligent. He has big dreams." Madame Folak gasped. Dreams. A gateman's dreams? My dear, poor people have many dreams, but they remain poor. Merenike turned away, biting back her frustration. She knew her mother wouldn't understand. But the real trouble came the day Chief Bright himself found out. It happened one fateful evening. Merenike and Lekan were talking by the gate, unaware of the approaching black SUV. The vehicle screeched to a stop, and before anyone could react, Chief Bright stepped out. His eyes blazed with anger as he took in the scene before him, his daughter talking to a mere gateman. "Merenike!" His voice was thunderous. "What nonsense is this?" Merenike turned, her heart pounding. "Dad, I was just what?" His eyes flickered to Lekan, filled with disgust. "You! How dare you think you can speak to my daughter?" Lekan stood straight, refusing to cower. "Sir, I meant no disrespect. Enough!" Chief Bright cut him off. "You're fired. Leave my house tonight." Merenike gasped. "Dad, you can't do that." "I can, and I will." Her father's voice was like ice. "This boy will never be anything more than a gateman. I won't allow you to bring shame to this family." Lekan said nothing. He met Merenike's eyes one last time, a silent message passing between them, one filled with pain, gratitude, and silent determination. Then, without a word, he turned and walked out into the dark streets of Irawa, leaving behind everything he had known. Merenike felt an ache in her chest as the gate shut behind him. What will become of Lekan now that he has lost everything? Will Merenike ever see him again? Or is this the end of their connection? Will Chief Bright's decision come back to haunt him? And can love and ambition truly break the barriers of class and status? Find out in Part 2.